All right, man, peace. So I'm here just watching today's episode of the CBS Morning News, just going through my DVR, and they happen to have a very good segment on a young boy from Miami who happens to be black, so-called black. His name is Alton Banks, and he passed away because he was very strangely subjected to the powerful opioid drug known as fentanyl. Now, if you guys remember, if you recollect, fentanyl is the same opioid that they say Prince used when he overdosed and when he passed away. They claim that he overdosed on fentanyl. And it's just very interesting to me that they're transitioning from the killing of the yoga teacher in Minneapolis, which is a story that's being reported by Jamie Yukis, who's the reporter on the right with the blue sweater on. They're transferring over to Alton Banks dying from fentanyl to the reporter on the left, Miss Nora O'Donnell, who has the red blouse on. You know, sometimes on these news broadcasts, they'll tell you things without telling you. Right? Oftentimes in how the producers have the stories set in order, they tell people in the know, or they confirm to you, if you understand what they're doing, exactly what the real story is on certain events. All right. So there's the reason why all of a sudden is the reason why the story all of a sudden is transitioning from Minneapolis. All right. As we all know, Prince was from Minneapolis and he was assassinated there when they sacrificed him using that drug fentanyl. But you know what? Let's let them talk. I'll chime in.
A 10-year-old boy in Florida has become one of the youngest victims of the national opioid epidemic. Investigators say Alton Banks died last month after he came in contact with the powerful painkiller fentanyl. But how the fifth grader was exposed is still a mystery. Omar Villafranca is in Miami's Overton neighborhood where the boy lived. Omar, good morning.
And, you know, it's really not that much of a mystery because fentanyl is not just it's not just an opioid that's used to treat pain. It's also a weapon. But you know what? Let's let him talk. Let's see what he got to say.
Good morning. Alton's mother described her son as a fun kid. He loved the Carolina Panthers and wanted to be an engineer. But here in Overtown, detectives are just trying to find out how he came in contact with a deadly mix of fentanyl and heroin.
Overtown, you know, not to digress, but Overtown, for those of you who don't know, is a very famous neighborhood in Miami. At one time, it was a very affluent so-called black neighborhood in Miami. It was kind of like the Harlem of the South. You know, a lot of entertainers would go there. Muhammad Ali, when he first started his professional career, he lived in Overtown. And like I said, it was very, very affluent until they started one of those urban renewal programs in the 50s. And what they would do oftentimes when they were not bombing you out of the sky like they did to Black Wall Street, what they would do is that they would just build super highways through your neighborhood. And what that would do is it would fracture, and it basically would partition the neighborhood so that it would break up the economy. And that's what they did to Overtown. After they did that, the economic structure of that city just totally collapsed, and it became destitute. And to this day, that area is pretty destitute. But at one time, it was very affluent. And like I said, Muhammad Ali, that's where he lived when he used to train out of Miami, out of the 5th Street gym.
Alton Banks' final day seemed to be a carefree one. Summer vacation, playing at the community pool. But when the 10-year-old got home, he started throwing up. His mother later found him unresponsive in his room and called 911. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. Toxicologists found the powerful painkiller fentanyl in his system.
We don't know where he got it. We don't believe at this point it was in his home.
Catherine Fernandez-Rundle is the Miami-Dade state attorney. She says Alton likely came in contact with the drug at the pool or on his walk home.
To think that this scourge, this synthetic drug, has hit our streets and now is going to be killing our innocent children.
And you look like you on something. You talking kind of slurred. You might be hitting some damn fentanyl. But anyway, fentanyl, for those of you guys who don't know, that was a drug that was created by a very, very, very famous pharmaceutical engineer named Paul Janssen. For those of you who don't know, Paul Janssen and his family have Nazi ties. Paul Janssen is a Jesuit, or pardon me, let me correct that. He went to a Jesuit institution where he became educated on pharmaceuticals, on chemistry, and he invented fentanyl in the early 60s. All right, fentanyl has been used not just for anesthesia purposes or for pain relief, but it's also been used for assassinations. All right, it's one of the main drugs, or opioids as they call it, which basically an opioid is just an artificial barbiturate. Fentanyl is one of the main drugs that they use for assassinations. That's why I said, and it's pretty obvious. People pretty much know this, that Prince was assassinated with that drug. But you have to understand something. Once you sign that contract to become a part of the entertainment industry, you basically agree to become an actor in the worldwide play. And they can write you out of the script whenever they want. Okay? When you sign that contract to become a professional, whatever it is in the entertainment industry, when you agree to get in front of that camera, you become theirs, right? Mind, body, and soul. So people talk about Prince this, and people love to play the videos and the clips of Prince talking about the chemtrails, and Prince was a Jehovah's Witness. Prince was an asset, phenomenal, super phenomenally talented artist and musician. No doubt about that. He was a modern day Mozart. All right, but Prince was also an asset. He was a pawn to be used, and when they were done with him, they removed him. And he knew that he was going to be removed before he was removed. Okay? But like I was saying, fentanyl is something that the CIA, allegedly, they've been using to assassinate people for the last 40 years with that. All right? They have something called the Phoenix program where they use fentanyl tipped darts to assassinate certain Vietnamese leaders. All right, when that stuff hits you, you're out of there. You go into coma immediately. All right, and if you don't get the antidote, you're gone. Okay, so don't be surprised if they're using this as a precursor or a pretext, pardon me, to initiate some type of drug reform, and they may even unleash a little mini scourge on the American population just to test it, just to see the effects, just to see how people are going to respond, just to see the numerous ways that they can utilize it. They're already acting as if they don't know how this boy came into contact with it. When you have something like this that occurs, the FBI is supposed to get involved immediately. Okay? This is a federal issue. This is not just a state issue. So the FBI should be getting involved in trying to figure out how this boy was subjected to fentanyl poisoning. Like, it's not like he came across poison ivy, right? If you don't know how he got it, that means that somebody else can get it. And once again, if you're subjected to that opioid, you will go into a coma almost immediately. Like I said, they have used that for high-level political assassinations for a long time. And just going back to what I was saying about Paul Janssen, and this is information that's public record. He was trained in the Vatican. He was trained as a Jesuit. Like I've stated in the past, the Jesuits are basically the CIA for the Vatican. Okay? He's responsible for a lot of breakthroughs in pharmaceuticals. His company is a multi-billion-dollar company. He passed away about 13 years ago from what I was reading. These are the type of things that, you brothers should be aware of. Look up Janssen Pharmaceuticals. He followed in the footsteps of his father. And like I said, they had Nazi ties. But, that's neither here nor there. Let's see what else she has to say.
Children.
His neighborhood is one of the many communities ravaged by opioids. In South Florida alone, an overdose occurs every 2 hours. Just how powerful is the drug? The tiny specks in this vial are enough to be lethal.
I thought it was cocaine.
Ohio police officer Chris Green suffered an accidental overdose from street fentanyl in May following a drug bust. He was hospitalized and survived.
This drug has no mercy on it. It doesn't care who you are. You're dead.
Dr. Parham Eftikari is a nephrologist in Florida's Broward County. He says fentanyl can be absorbed in the body as easily as making contact with the skin.
This is just touching, breathing, being around, smoking around. And this is what makes it so scary.
Yeah, it sounds like it was created for a dual purpose, or it's been engineered for a dual purpose. Why would you have a drug that powerful that can be used both as an anesthesia or as a pain reliever, but also can be that powerful that when absorbed through the skin, it can kill you almost immediately, unless it was something that was engineered to be that powerful. Like I said, if this truly is an epidemic like they claim it is, if they're truly fearful of the effects of this opioid on the nation, why isn't the FBI getting involved? I mean, we shouldn't even be hearing from these people. That the local head of the FBI should be speaking about this.
The medical examiner's office says last year in the Miami area, there were nearly 300 overdose deaths involving different forms of fentanyl. But drug dealers have been put on notice. There's a Florida law that goes into effect coming up in October that would allow drug dealers to be charged with murder if they're caught dealing a fatal dose of fentanyl or any drug mixed with fentanyl. Charlie?
Right. But as we all know, the issue with Mr. Alton, with the young man Alton Banks, it wasn't that he bought it from a drug dealer, at least as far as we know. Right? It was an accidental exposure to the drug that led to his death, as far as we know. Now, who knows what type of backstory they're going to come up with in the forthcoming days. But as of right now, it was accidental exposure. So seeing that it's accidental exposure, there's supposed to be a high-level investigation. And like I was saying, the Jansens, who run or ran Janssen Pharmaceuticals, I mean, they're knee-deep in affiliations with the Vatican. And as we know, the Vatican and the Nazis were working hand in hand through the Jesuit order. As I've stated already, the Jesuits are the ones who helped Hitler script Mein Kampf, right? As well as the ones who really gave high-level access to one of the major pharmaceutical firms in Europe over to the Jansens. Constant Janssen being a Belgian bigwig. All right, they sent his son Paul Janssen to one of the Vatican educational academies, and next thing you know, this guy's creating fentanyl back 50 plus years ago. But this story is going to get a little deeper. It's not the end of it, and I'm sure that they're going to find a lot more examples to push as they test this drug on the populace. But anyway, peace.